person we're going to hear from is Kevin Wade. He's a small businessman who operates a small engineering company and has been doing so for the last 30 years. He's also running for Senate in Delaware, and we sure hope he's going to be successful. Kevin, happy to have you with us today.
Thank you very much. My name's Kevin Wade. It's a short name. It's easy to remember, Kevin Wade. I will be the next U.S. Senator from the state of Delaware, the first state. We presently have in Delaware the prototypical career politician who supported Obamacare in the face of objections of his constituents across the first state. My opponent first went to Washington in 1983. He is a lifelong career politician. I am not a small businessman. I'm actually a tall businessman, but I run a small business. And for 30 years, I've had to balance a budget, make the tough decisions, and meet the needs of society, meaning to please your customers. My life experience is entirely different than my opponents. I pay for the health care of my employees. I value the fact that my employees see their doctor. They have quiet, personal, intimate conversations with their doctor. A government bureaucrat does not sit in and listen and score their lifestyle. Obamacare solves a problem that does not exist in this country. 270 of the 300 million people in this country have a reliable form of health care available to them. Instead of crafting a sensible, well, maybe an engineering solution that worked for the remaining 30, in the ways of big government Washington, they decided to turn the thing on its head and reach into the health care lives of every person in this audience and across this city. And in the same way that when Washington deeply involved themselves in housing, our housing prices went down. When they tried to stimulate the economy, they created the Great Recession. Now they have their hands on our health care. I tell you, my friends, everything big government touches goes to ruin. And the only way we're going to turn these things around, the only way we're going to make right Obamacare by setting aside Obamacare, is to elect people who have read the Constitution and believe it. The days of big Washington programs are over. We will re-engineer how Washington works. We are going to bring the government closer to the people, closer to the needs of the people. We're going to allow healthcare to flourish as it has flourished in this country for all these many years, in this city, which is the home of so many great medical developments through the centuries. We will not allow Washington and Obamacare to ruin yet one more aspect of our good American lives. With that, let me conclude by saying my name is Kevin Wade. It is a short name. It is easy to remember. God bless all of you, and God save the United States of America.
Yeah. Next up, Mary Ellen Jones, co-founder of Delaware County Patriots, owner and manager of Home Care Connections.
Business owner, and I'm also a little bit of a small person. Terry invited me to come here today to talk about Obamacare, and I wasn't exactly sure what I was going to talk about, but as a small business owner, I find Obamacare simply appalling. My business is very small. I'm not going to be affected in terms of having to provide health insurance for employees or having to pay fines because I don't have that many employees. But that being said, I just get so annoyed because Barack Obama, in my estimation, doesn't know how to create a job. He doesn't know how to manage a business. He doesn't understand what it's all about because he's never had a real job. He was a community organizer who moved into politics and never had to hire anybody or create a job. forcing small business owners to buy health insurance or to pay a fine, which, by the way, I find absolutely unconscionable. I never thought I would live to see the day where the federal government said it would fine a business for not providing a good or a service. I just find that appalling. But you know, Obama doesn't understand the cost of this. I think he doesn't understand that part of the economy today, in my estimation, business owners are afraid to hire new people because they don't know what their costs are going to be. When you decide you're going to take on a new person, you have to weigh up the costs. You know, you have to weigh out what's the salary, what are the benefits, what's the health care going to cost me, what's the pension going to cost me. People today can't do that because they have no idea what Obamacare is going to cost. What they do know is 30 million new people are going to be thrown into that pool and somebody's going to have to pay for it. 50% of the people who live in this country pay no taxes, so it follows that they don't pay for health insurance either. That means the 50% who contribute are going to be stuck with 100% of the bill for those 30 million new insured. You know, polls have shown for the last 2 years that the people of the United States don't want Obamacare, and I believe that's for a couple of reasons. We have a constitution, and in that constitution are built in checks and balances that are supposed to protect us from ideologues and their passions. And I think the American people are coming to see that Obamacare is no more than a culmination of a group of people's ideology to redistribute wealth in the United States of America. And that's something we just don't believe in. My personal belief is that this bill is allowed to stand, it's going to pierce the very core of our freedoms and liberties. We won't have them anymore. The federal government will be so intrusive in our day-to-day lives as to be just totally unacceptable. Our founding fathers fought so hard to give us these freedoms and liberties, we need to fight hard to hold on to them. When you go to the polls in November, and here I'm preaching to the choir with this group, but we have to make sure to pull the lever for a president who's going to pull his pen out on day one and issue an executive order that totally does away with Obamacare. Thank you.
I just want to point out to everyone that the Park Service has said that we are not allowed to use any microphones this close to Independence Hall. So I do apologize for the sound. We've had many events here and we've used the mics. I don't understand the problem, but just so there's clarification on that.
To be working on that in the future, but we didn't have time to settle it this morning, so do forgive us and bear with us. Okay, next up is John Featherman. He's a congressional candidate for Pennsylvania's 1st District.
They asked me if I could boom my voice, so I'm going to tell you what, I'm going to boom my voice, and I'm going to tell you that the reason why we're here today is we want to make sure that our voice is not shut down. I want to point you over to the National Constitution Center, and I want to tell you what's going on there right now. While we are out here exercising our First Amendment privileges, Ed Rendell, former Governor Ed Rendell, and Mayor Michael Nutter have the luxury of being inside the National Constitution Center right now to be able to do Rock the Vote, to be able to get preferential treatment, to be able to get TV coverage, and that's not fair. And I'm going to tell you what, I want you guys to look at my face. I want you to look at every single wrinkle on my face. I am the face of someone who lost an election last year of 1.5 million people in the Republican mayoral primary by 64 votes. And the reason why I lost was because we did not have photo ID. I ran for mayor against Karen Brown, 1.5 million people. I lost by 64 votes. People within my own party are part of a grand jury investigation of 4 notaries, 2 of whom stepped down who acknowledged that they notarized to knock off some of our Republican candidates for people who were Democrats, who were dead people. So the first thing I want to get out of the way is we have to have our voices heard, and thank God we're going to have photo ID. Let's start with that. The next thing, thank you. And I am the face, 64 votes, 1.5 million people. Next thing I want to tell you, I want to give you a very personal story about healthcare. Now I want you to look at my throat, and I want you to see the scar on my throat. Take pictures, it's fine. I used to be embarrassed about this, but not anymore, because I'm alive and I'm fighting. And all of us have been knocked down at one time in our life, and we get right back up. Congressman Fitzpatrick, he lost one time to Patrick Murphy. He got right back up, and he fought. Well, I'm going to tell you about my fight, and I'm going to tell you the reason why we cannot let Obama get away with Obamacare or any of his other programs that he has for health care. When I was 7 years old, I was thrown from a horse. I was in a camp. I was dragged and I was stepped on. It was very similar to what happened to Christopher Reeve, except for having a broken spinal cord. I had 2 nodes in the back of my throat that would not function. And for 13 years, I had to breathe through a tracheotomy tubes. I could not swim. I could not talk unless I pushed my thumb. I had to literally hold the stoma in order for me to talk. I couldn't do many of the other things that young children did. And what did I learn from it? I learned that when people tell you, because every otorhinolaryngologist that I had seen had told me, this is your life, this is how you're gonna have to live. When you're a young person, you can make a decision. You can either accept the unacceptable, or you can be like me and fight back. And I'm gonna tell you what, when Obama jams down your throat, what you're gonna do with your hard-earned dollars, you gotta fight back. I'm gonna finish with one more thing. My wife and I, Masaka, you wanna raise your hand? It's my wife. We're both realtors. We're realtors in this area. Did you know that a big chunk of Obama's healthcare program is being funded by people who are real estate investors? An extra 3.8% tax on properties that they sell. In this environment, we know firsthand, we see it. We see how many people are underwater and are just making it themselves. Do not, President Obama, hurt those people, because we have to make a recovery. Please, remember my wrinkles, remember my throat, and never ever give up. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sean, for coming down today. The next person is Robert Allen Mansfield. He's an Army Sergeant and Iraqi war veteran. He's a congressional candidate for Pennsylvania's 2nd District. Let's give him a big hand, both for being in here today and for his service in Iraq.
Thank you, Ms. Terry. Thank you, Don. Thank you, the next Congressman, John Featherman, Senator Wade, Congressman Mike Fitzpatrick for his leadership on this health care bill. I'm going to be really brief. My concern about this health care law is the unelected people on this board called IPAB. They're unelected, they're unaccountable, they're allowed to receive gifts,